Guys, and welcome back. Today we are following a heartbreaking story about a single father who spent 6 years hiding while raising the son the world believed never existed. Just when he thinks he finally found peace, the man who once loved him suddenly returns with a shocking truth. So, if you are up for the drama, let's get into the story.
The restaurant had been my salvation. It wasn't much to look at, a narrow storefront wedged between a convenience store and a closed-down tailor shop, with faded signage that read Day Heinz Kitchen in peeling letters. 6 tables, a worn counter, a kitchen that had seen better decades. But it was mine. It was safe. I wiped down the counter for the 3rd time that evening, the familiar motion soothing my nerves. The dinner rush was over, and the restaurant was empty, except for me and the soft hum of the old refrigerator. Outside, the autumn wind rattled the windows, carrying the first hints of winter. Appa. I looked up. My son stood in the doorway to the back room, rubbing his eyes with one small fist. He was 6 years old, with dark hair that stuck up in all directions, and eyes that were too wise for his age. Deho, you should be asleep. Couldn't sleep. He padded over to me on bare feet, his pajamas slightly too big. Bad dream. My heart clenched. What kind of bad dream? He shrugged, climbing onto the stool beside me. Just bad. I don't remember. I pulled him close, pressing a kiss to the top of his head. He smelled like soap and sleep, and the particular warmth that only children have. You're safe. I'm right here. I know. He leaned against me, his small body relaxing. Appa, why do you always look so sad? The question caught me off guard. I forced a smile. I'm not sad. I'm just tired. No, you're not. He looked up at me with those 2 old eyes. You look sad all the time, even when you smile. I didn't know what to say to that. How could I explained to a 6-year-old that his father carried ghosts with him everywhere, that every time I looked at him, I saw the father he would never know, the life I'd walked away from. Appa's fine. Don't worry about me, okay? He didn't believe me. I could see it in his face, but he was too kind to push. Can I have some of that soup? You had dinner already. I'm hungry again. You're always hungry. You're growing. I made him a small bowl of soup and watched him eat, his small hands wrapped around the spoon, his face serious with concentration. Every time I looked at him, I saw his father. The same dark lashes, the same stubborn set of the jaw, the same way of tilting his head when he was thinking. I'd been running for 6 years. 6 years of hiding, of keeping my head down, of hoping no one would ever find us. And somehow, I'd made it work. We had a home. We had a business. We had each other. It wasn't a perfect life, but it was ours. I was still cleaning up when I heard the low rumble of expensive cars outside, multiple engines, doors opening, the sound of footsteps on the pavement, then the shouting, "Get out. This is private property." Someone else, a man's voice, responding in low, controlled Korean. My blood ran cold. No. I moved to the window, my heart pounding. Through the thin curtains, I could see a black sedan parked directly outside. Men in dark suits were spreading around the restaurant, their movements precise and practiced. I'd seen men like that before. They were the same type of men who'd surrounded my father's estate. Same posture, same cold efficiency. They weren't here for soup. Deho, I kept my voice calm, steady. I need you to go to the back room. But Appa? No. He slipped off the stool without another word. He'd learned not to argue when I used that tone. I turned back to the window. The men had formed a semicircle around the front door, and at the center, walking slowly toward the entrance, was a figure I knew better than I knew myself. He was older now. His face had sharper lines, harder edges. There was gray at his temples that I didn't remember. His suit was perfectly tailored, his posture rigid with authority, but his eyes were the same. Those eyes had once looked at me like I was the center of his universe. Now they were cold, unreadable. I watched him stop at the door and look up at the faded sign. He said something to the man beside him. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the man nod. The door opened. I didn't move, couldn't move. My legs felt like they belonged to someone else. He stepped inside, and the restaurant shrank around him. His presence filled the small space, making everything else seem smaller, less important. He looked at me. His expression didn't change. "I've been looking for you for 6 years, he said. His voice was lower than I remembered, rougher. You shouldn't have found me. My voice came out steadier than I felt. You should have let me stay dead. He didn't respond to that. Instead, he glanced around the restaurant the faded walls, the worn tables, the old photograph of my mother on the counter. Is this where you've been hiding? It's not hiding. It's living. And the boy. His eyes moved toward the back door. Who is he? My heart stopped. No one. Just don't lie to me. His voice was quiet, but there was steel beneath it. I saw him. He ran past the window. I felt the blood drain from my face. Yeah. Teho. He stepped closer. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to drag you back. I just need to know, is he mine? The question hung in the air between us. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. You don't get to ask that. I'm asking anyway. Why now? My voice cracked. After 6 years. After everything. Because I thought you were dead. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? After you disappeared, I searched for weeks. I tore the city apart looking for you. And then he stopped, his jaw tightening. Then someone showed me the body. The body? Someone who looked like you. Same clothes, same build, same. He looked away. I was told you were dead. I was told you died alone. I spent 6 years believing that. I stared at him, my mind racing. But who?
Okay, so let's pause for a second. Teho has spent years believing he was completely alone, while Chaeyoung has spent those same years believing Teho has died. Both of them have been living with lies created by someone else, making this reunion far more tragic than either of them expected.
My father. He turned back to me, his eyes dark. He told me you were dead. He showed me the body, and I believed him. Why would he do that? Chihayang was quiet for a moment. Then he said, because someone in my family wanted you gone, and they're still trying. I felt the room tilt around me. What are you talking about? I came here to warn you. Someone knows you're alive. Someone is coming for you, and I don't know who they are. The back door creaked open. Daeho stood there, his face pale. Appa, I heard. Go back to your room, Daeho. But now, he hesitated. Then he disappeared again. Chaihan watched him go, his expression unreadable. He has your eyes, he said quietly, the shape of your... Chihayan, I know I don't have the right. His voice was raw. I know I failed you. I know I didn't fight hard enough. But I need you to listen to me. I've been listening for years. I've been listening to everyone else's plans, everyone else's decisions. I'm tired of it. Then don't listen. He stepped closer. Just let me protect you. Let me protect him. You don't even know him. And whose fault is that? The question cut deeper than I wanted to admit. You have no idea what I went through, I said. The fear, the loneliness, raising him alone, wondering every day if someone would find us. And you were supposed to be the one person I could count on. I know. You were supposed to fight for me. I know. His voice broke, and I didn't. And I've hated myself every single day for 6 years. I looked at him, at the man I'd once loved, at the man who'd broken my heart. Why are you really here? I asked, not the I want to protect you speech. The real reason. He was silent for a long moment. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This came to me last week. Addressed to you. I took it. My hands were shaking. Inside was a single photograph. A man. Older. Dressed in an expensive suit. Standing in front of a familiar building. My uncle. And behind him, partially hidden in the shadows, was someone else. Someone I didn't recognize. Who is that? I asked. I don't know. But I've seen him before. 3 times in the past month. He's been following people close to me. Following. Or... I don't know. Cheyenne's voice was tight. That's why I found you. Because I don't know who he is, and I'm not going to lose you again. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in the kitchen, staring at the photograph. My uncle, a stranger, a mystery I didn't want to unravel. Shahayan was in the other room, sleeping or pretending to. I didn't know which. I thought about the life I'd built, the restaurant, my son, the ordinary, quiet existence I'd fought so hard to create. And I thought about the life I'd left behind, the secrets, the lies. The family that had tried to destroy me. Daeho's words echoed in my head. Why do you always look so sad? I looked at the photograph again. Whoever that man was, he was connected to something dark. Something that wanted me gone. And Shihayan had come back to protect me. I didn't know if I trusted him, but I knew I was terrified. The next morning, I found Shihayan standing at the window, his back to me. You didn't sleep? I said. Neither did you. I moved to stand beside him. The street outside was quiet, ordinary. The kind of scene that made you forget there were people in the shadows. You need to leave, I said. The longer you stay, the more dangerous it is for both of us. I'm not leaving. You don't have a choice. My son is here. I can't. Taeho. He turned to face me. I'm not leaving until I know you're safe. Even if that means staying here for years. Why? You're not my family. You're not anything to me anymore. His expression flickered with something that might have been pain. Maybe not. But I'm not going to make the same.
Okay, so another pause, sorry, but the story slowly shifted from an emotional reunion into a mystery. Instead of simply focusing on romance, it began asking who manipulated the past, why Tehu was forced into hiding, and who is still hunting him after all these years.
Mistakes I made before. I felt something crack inside me. The walls I'd built, the careful distance I'd maintained, all of it started to crumble. Shaiyan, Appa. We both turned. Taeho stood in the doorway, his small face full of suspicion. Who is that man? He's a friend. Taeho, you said that yesterday. But he's still here. Chihayang crouched down to my son's level. Your father is right. I'm a friend, and I'm going to keep you both safe. Daeho studied him with those two old eyes. Then he said, do you know why my appa is always sad? Jihayan's expression shifted. Something raw and vulnerable flickered across his face. Yes, he said quietly. I think I do. Can you fix it? The question hung in the air. Jihayan looked at me, at my son, at the life I'd built without him. I'm going to try, he said. I'm going to try very hard. Daeho nodded once, satisfied. Then he turned and walked away. Jihayan rose slowly, his eyes following the boy. He looks like me, he said. The way he tilts his head, the way he... I didn't answer. Taeho, how old is he? I felt the words stick in my throat. Don't. He's 6. He's 6 years old. Jihayan's voice was barely above a whisper, which means he was born right after. Please stop. Right after I thought you were dead. While I was mourning someone I didn't even realize was still alive. I turned away. You should go. I'm not going anywhere. The front door slammed open. 3 men in dark suits burst into the restaurant. Their faces were hard, their movements precise. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Jihayan moved in front of me, his body blocking mine. You're not welcome here, he said. The lead man laughed. We're not here for you. We're here for him. He pointed at me, and I'm not letting you touch him. The man's smile faded. You don't have a choice. Don't I? For a moment, no one moved. The tension in the room was so thick I could barely breathe. Then the lead man raised his hand. Take him. They moved. Jihayan moved faster. I watched, frozen, as he fought 3 men at once. He was faster than I remembered. Stronger, more controlled. Within seconds, 2 of the men were on the ground. The third pulled out a beep. Chi Ha-young. He spun around. The beep caught his arm, slicing through his sleeve. He didn't even flinch. He grabbed the man's wrist and twisted. The beep clattered to the floor. You'll tell your boss, Chi Ha-young said, his voice cold, that if he wants Taeho, he'll have to go through me. The men retreated. The door slammed shut. I stood frozen, my heart pounding. Then Chi Ha-young turned to me. His arm was beep beep, dark red, soaking through his torn sleeve. Are you okay? Am I okay? You're the one. It's fine. He glanced at the wound. It's shallow. We need to leave. Now they'll come back. He nodded. Pack what you need. 10 minutes. I ran. The car sped through the dark streets. Daeho was asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the chaos. I watched him in the rearview mirror, his small face, peaceful despite everything. Chia Hayan drove in silence, his jaw tight, his hands gripping the wheel. Where are we going? I asked. A safe house. Somewhere no one will find us. And then, he glanced at me. Then we find out who's behind this, and we stop them. It's my uncle, isn't it? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I looked out the window. The city blurred past, all lights and shadows and secrets. Chia Hyun, I said quietly. If something happens to me, nothing's going to happen to you. Just listen. If something happens to me, I need you to promise me something. What? Take care of Daeho. Don't let him grow up alone. Don't let him forget. My voice broke. Don't let him forget who his father was. Chihayan's expression flickered. Daeho, promise me. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I promise. We drove on Dot, and in the back seat, my son slept on, dreaming of a future. I prayed I'd live to see Dot. The safe house was a small apartment in a part of the city I didn't recognize. Sparse furniture, heavy curtains, a single window overlooking a narrow alley. Dot Ji Chayan checked every room before letting me. Inside, it's secure, he said. For now.
Sorry, another pause. But in my opinion, one of the strongest emotional moment isn't the confrontation between 2 adults. It's Dehu's innocence. Without knowing the full story, he noticed the sadness his father hides every day, proving that children often understand emotion far better than other expect.
For now, I need to make some calls. Find out who those men were working for. And if you can't find out, he looked at me. Then we run again. I felt the weight of his words settle on my shoulders. Running. Always running. I was tired of it. Deho stirred in my arms. His eyes fluttered open. Appa, where are we? Somewhere safe. Deho, rest now. Are we staying here? I don't know yet. He looked past me, at Chihayan, who was standing by the window. Then he looked back at me. Appa, is that man my father? The question hit me like a physical blow. What? You look at him like you look at my pictures. Deho's voice was sleepy, matter of fact. The ones you hide in your drawer. I felt tears prick my eyes. Dayo! Your eyes get sad, like you miss someone. Is it him? I didn't know what to say. Chihaya had gone still. His back was to us, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. Go back to sleep, Deho. Okay. His eyes were already closing. Appa, I don't want him to be my father. Why not? He was quiet for a moment. Because fathers don't leave, he whispered, and he left. He fell asleep in my arms. The room was silent, except for the sound of his breathing. Slowly, I looked up. Chihayan was still standing at the window, his back to me, but I could see his reflection in the glass. His face was pale. His hands were shaking, and he was crying.
Okay, so before we wrap up the part one, I think what makes this story stand out isn't the action or even the reunion. It's the way it's explored how a single life can completely reshape multiple lives. For 6 years, both Tehu and Chaeyeon lived with different versions of the same tragedy. One believed he had abandoned, while the other believed the person he had loved died. Neither of them actually had the full truth, and that changes the way we both see like characters. From my perspective, this story also reminds us that this time that doesn't simply heal emotion wounds. 6 years passed, but neither of them truly moved on. Theo built a peaceful life for his son, yet he never stopped carrying the pain of the past. Shayun may have continued living as well, but it's clear he never stopped grieving someone he believed he had lost forever. Sometimes surviving isn't the same as healing, and I think the story shows that d- difference really well. The character that surprised me the most was Devu. Even though he's the youngest person in the story, he quietly become the emotional center. He noticed the sadness that others try to hide, ask the question everyone else avoid, and speak with a kind of honesty that completely changes the atmosphere. His final sentence that fathers don't leave just isn't just heartbreaking because it's emotional. It's heartbreaking because it shows how children often judge situation by action, not intention. From Dehu's point of view, the reason doesn't matter, only the absence does. I also like the story. It doesn't immediately ask us to forgive Chaeyoon. Instead, it put him in a position where he has to earn back trust through his actions rather than his words. Apologies are important, but after 6 years of pain, promise alone aren't enough. Protecting Tehu and Dehu is only the beginning. Rebuilding a broken family is going to take much more than that. Another interesting direction is how the story slowly changed genre. It began as an emotional family drama, but by the end, it feels much more like a mystery. Question about who faked Tehu's death, who has been watching them, and what role the family really played become just as important the romance itself for me. Those unanswered questions create tension because we know the biggest secret haven't been revealed yet. Personally, I think the ending leaves us with one important question. If someone loses years of your life because of lies and manipulation, can trust ever truly be rebuilt? Even if Chaeyoung's intention were never cruel, the pain Tehu and Dehu experienced is still real. That's what makes the story so interesting for me. It doesn't offer easy answers. It asks whether love can survive years of misunderstanding, guilt, and regret. So that was all for part one. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss part two. And let me know your thought in the comments. If you were in Tehu's position, would you give you another chance after learning the truth, or do you think some wounds are simply too deep to heal? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.